Thanks for staying with us, and you're welcome back to the morning show here on Rice News. Well, residents of certain areas of Sokoto State were on Thursday morning thrown into panic following the guided missile attacks by the United States against terrorist elements operating there. The U.S. had in separate strikes targeted communities in two local government areas of Tambuwa and Tangaza in Sokoto State. Our Rice correspondent, Suleiman Nasiru, tells us more.
In over 20 hours since the United States military bomb struck some communities in Sokoto State, Jabo is a relatively peaceful community in Tambuwa local government area of Sokoto State and one of the affected areas where the bomb landed. Residents narrate their experiences while confirming that there is no casualty from the strike.
Since that, alhamdulillah, there was no loss of life and no loss of property for the meantime. But the only fear I have is we that are farming around this place that this thing happened. The tendency of the fertility of our land is now at stake, considering the fact that this thing that fell is being made with some chemicals and other things that can destroy farmlands and can destroy the fertility of it.
We were just thinking maybe it's a plane crash. So when we come, we cannot say the actual what is happening. We'll just see some just things like a bomb. We'll just hear very sounds, boom, and we'll just come, then the fire explodes.
Is there any loss of
No, we thank God, we thank Almighty Allah. There is no loss of lives, no loss of properties, and we say thank God.
Information of the blast in Tangaza are sketchy, but sources around the local government say the attack was intense and believe casualty may have been recorded. Lack of access to the location has hindered information generation. While the federal government and the defense headquarters have confirmed a pre-knowledge of the strike, not much has been said by the state government. While the situation has created panic for residents, analysts say the message from the U.S. is clear to the terrorists. We know where you are and we can hit you. Suleiman Nasser, Rice News.
Now joining us live from Sokoto for an update is our Rice Chief Correspondent, Ferdinand Duroa. Good morning, Ferdinand. Good to have you join us from Sokoto.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, talk to us about where you are in Sokoto State over there. We know that there are two local government areas also that were affected, Tambuwa, Tangaza. But then tell us about where you are and what you have observed, because the report by Nasiru that we just played, we have a few residents saying that no life was lost, no major building was hit. What is the situation on ground in terms of the strikes by the American government in collaboration with the Nigerian authorities in some part of Sokoto on Thursday?
All right, thank you so much, Steve. And to confirm, we are in Jabo, in Tambuwa local government area of Sokoto State. And I'm just going to walk you through some scenarios. I say some scenarios, and that's because, well, we still have forensics walking around it. Well, just behind me, by my left, you will see a tape, and it's providing some restrictions, but let's walk you around, a scenario that perhaps we think might have happened. Now, if you take a look at this place, now you see some chemicals here, looking like ash, and from what we learned, well, it dropped here, and then I'm going to go and then show you the crater that it definitely created, and so. You look around and then you see that some of the crops there beginning to look like, they're dying off. And that was exactly, what that man raised in that particular report about, maybe they have to, raising some concerns about the farming activities here. But yes, it's a farm in Jabo. And we can confirm that this is actually one of the locations. Well, also late yesterday, well, there was another location that was discovered that, of course, something similar to the missile that was picked up from that crater, which we are going to walk down to right. Over bandits and terrorists from the federal government. Well, it was that they did have one primary target, and the primary target was in Tangasa, which is about 2 local governments away from here. However, there was, however, there was there's some impacts that we've seen in 2 places around Jabo, and so, well, the target in Jabo, the target was not Jabo, and so it's not, it's not unlikely that there definitely wouldn't be any, would be any casualty, and so that indeed fell on this particular farm. And thank God, like the residents and the community has said, well, there was no casualty. However, when you talk about Tangasa, which is a trans route, Nigeria to Niger, now there were some casualties, or perhaps the right expressions were used by President Donald Trump when he said powerful and deadly strikes. We can confirm that the targets were hit. However, the Sokoto state government have said that there was no casualty in terms of civilians. And so, where the target struck, yes, the target was Tangasa, and it was struck. Precise targets struck at assembly and staging areas, and then also a place that has been categorized by the Nigerian military, by the Nigerian intelligence, as a trans route from the Nigeria to Niger, where you have some of these elements coming in from the Sahel.
Okay, so I guess that clears up a little bit, but there's still questions about exactly what the target was at Tangasa. With no destruction of lives or property, what exactly were they trying to hit? But on another note, Ferdinand, I want to ask about the environment around. I mean, I wish you had a mask on or something. Only God knows what kind of elements are still in the air from that debris. But what can you speak to the way the people are discussing the event that happened? Is it fear? Is it a little bit of excitement? Is it confusion? Could you give us like a little bit of what the atmosphere is like around where the crash site in terms of how individuals are feeling?
Yes, definitely mixed emotions. Well, yesterday morning, very early morning when the attack happened, it was of panic. But then much later on when the security operatives came in, and then when they started putting the pieces together, well, they realized exactly that this was not the target. And of course, that brought some respite. Well, this morning and even yesterday, we've spoken to some of the residents. Well, the place... an interesting site where you see people coming in, including some media persons, and then also some of the community persons who are indeed coming in to come and actually see for themselves what happened, the impact, and also you also want to not remove fear, and what it means for your community, for such an attack to happen, or for such effect to happen in the community. Well, it means that, well, even if it is not the primary target, well, you can say that it is still a source of worry, and that's because around that vicinity, well, anything could go wrong. Well, if there was a farmhouse around here, well, something could have gone wrong, but thank God it wasn't. So just to clarify again, well, impact in 2 locations that we can confirm in Jabo, and of course, the primary target in the primary target in Tangasa. And talking about those primary targets for the United States, they have said powerful and deadly. For the Nigerian security operators, they have said yes, there were heavy casualties. And also from the from the Sokoto state government, they have said that yes, there was no civilian casualty. And that's exactly what they've said. Now it's quite we've been advised against trying to get to Tangasa because it's an ongoing operations. And yes, it is a place where you have theater operations, particularly happening. And so that's exactly the reason why information has actually been few coming out from there. But in terms of the community, how they feel, well, some respite right now, knowing that this was not the primary target, but of course, some apprehension, knowing that, well, you want to say they're in the line of fire.
All right, Ferdinand, before we let you go, can you describe outside of the farm settlement where you are and where that target was, what is live outside of there in Jabo village? Is there anybody, traditional institutions, traditional rulers, or local government chairman speaking about what has happened and trying to rally the people? What sort of atmosphere are you observing there?
Well, thank you so much, Steve. And that's because just prompting us, well, quite later in the day, well, we already have some interviews scheduled with some of the traditional rulers who, at this point, I think the only worry that they have is they do not know the impacts that this would have, on the farm. But aside that, there isn't any other, any other worry. We still see live. If my camera can indeed show you, well, we did come in with, by the help of some motorcyclists. Business is still ongoing, and just around, you still also see some people carrying out some, some activities. So in terms of life in Jabo, I can tell you that it's a peaceful community, and that's indeed why they were very worried when, this happened, and that's because, they just didn't really know the reasons. But since then, with more information coming out from the DHQ, from the Sokoto state government, and then also from the Americans, themselves, whom did carry out this strike. Talking about it, well, also from what we've learned, that the strike did happen from, with the help of an MQ-9 Reaper. Now that's a drone, and then yes, it has the capacity to carry 2 elements. Talking about a Hellfire, and then also a laser mix, a laser precision missile. And you want to say, looking at that statement, that perhaps it was done with a laser precision missile, and then also it did, it did take over from the Gulf, or they did launch from the Gulf of Guinea. So we're still putting together the information. Well, as regards the Sokoto state government, well, some worry you want to see, and that's because whether we like it or not, with these attacks happening here, well, what it means is, it gives some kind of impression for a government that, will be trying very hard to see how well they can attract the investors and let community understand that it's safe. And right now, this happening in a place where you want to categorize as a red zone, well, there's indeed a whole lot to worry. Lots of people are also talking about significance for Nigeria. Well, this is the first time since independence that we're having a foreign element come in to do an active operation using this kind of missile. What exactly is the implication in terms of business, people looking at the country and then thinking that, well, maybe it's not too safe. But I want to say that the good thing is that the Nigerian government has confirmed that, yes, they are very, very well aware of this. 19 minutes before and 5 minutes after, they did speak to the United States government, particularly the Department of War, who did provide at least as much as 4 scenarios on how they will go about this after Nigeria was classified as a place of concern. They did say, yes, the primary, they did, looking at the 4 elements, they did say, well, that they could share intelligence with Nigeria and then allow Nigeria to carry out the operations themselves. They did say that it's possible that they will also bring boots themselves, and then they did talk about these situations, which is about working with the Nigerian government, to indeed carry out these operations, and of course empowering the Nigerian military with weapons and whatever resources they need. We see some of this playing out. For Donald Trump, he says it's a Christmas gift. I think the message is very clear, like we've reiterated. It is the fact that it is an active operations. They are very interested, and in trying to ensure that they eliminate bandits and terrorists and other elements. And we just hope that for now they will spare us the casualties.
All right, Ferdinand, thanks for giving us this update. I'm sure that in some other bulletins we'll get to speak with you. But do stay safe out there.
Yeah.
Do stay safe. Ferdinand, thank you. Thank you very much.